Welcome back to Jack of All Games Tabletop. I'm Dave Wallace, and it's time for another board game review. There's a lot of great games out there that are based on great movies, and for me personally, favorite movies that come to mind are the action movies of the 80s, in particular those with anti-heroes and men who let their actions do the talking for them. So, of course, favorites would be things like Conan the Barbarian, Mad Max, and of course, Escape from New York and Snake Plissken. I've been a huge fan of the franchise for a long time, and anytime I come across something cool and collectible that has to do with Snake Plissken, I always get my hands on it. I've got Snake Plissken action figure, I've got quite a few comic books. I just think he's one of the coolest characters out there, fictional characters. So that being said, I mean, this has to be great, right? Right? Well, let's find out. So that being said, let's get into it. This is Escape from New York from Pendragon Games, and it is recommended for ages 13 and up. It's about 40 to 60 minutes, it says, 1 to 4 players. And let's check it out with the theme and this dramatically read description straight off the box.
Escape from New York transports you into the iconic atmosphere of the movie, released in 1981 by master director John Carpenter. The whole of New York is the world's biggest open-air prison. You'll play as Snake Plissken, Brain, Maggie, and Cabby, the iconic taxi driver.
Whoa, hold up. He just used the description iconic twice in a row in 2 different sentences back to back. One was to describe the movie, Escape from New York, which I 100% agree with. The other one was to describe Cabby, the cab driver. Iconic? Really? I mean, I get it, Ernest Borgnine and all, but all right, anyway, continue.
In a race against time, you'll explore the dangerous streets of New York, searching for the president, the government tape, and diagram of the bridges, and escape without stepping on a landmine. You can work together, or you might at any point during the game decide to betray your companions to complete your own personal objective and escape from New York alone. Whatever your decision, you must face the prisoners, bands of Manhattan, headed by the Duke of New York, and 2 other fearsome foes, Romero and Slag.
Okay, so there's a brilliantly written description on the back of the box. With that description, they're really zeroing in on just the people who've seen the movie. And I think, as far as you're trying to sell a board game, you want to get the widest possible audience. There's all kinds of younger people out there who are not familiar with the movie, probably even more confused. Maybe I can help. So the movie came out in 1981, and then at that time, of course, the distant future was 1997, when I believe this movie takes place. In that time, the crime rate has risen like over 400%, and they've decided to just make one massive maximum security prison out of the island of Manhattan. So the military and the police, they kind of form this wall that goes all around and block it off. Get all the normal people out there, and they start dropping in prisoners in there. And the rule is, once you go in, you don't come out. So all these people going in, they're trying to form gangs, and they're fighting each other. And the best gang of all is, of course, the ones that are under the Duke of New York. He's number 1. He's got this super cool car that's a Cadillac with chandeliers on the roof. I mean, that's iconic. But anyway, yeah, Duke of New York, he's the coolest, and he's just kind of running the whole prison, sort of, other than the freaks that are underground or anything. But then, of course, the president is on the plane on his way to a summit, a peace meeting for all the nations. And for some reason, he has this entire speech on a cassette tape, even though he's going to give this speech there. And so he has it in a briefcase, and then some terrorists come and take over the plane, and they're like, we're going to crash, we're going to kill him. And so they decided to crash their plane into his very own symbol of fascism, prison of New York City. And at the last second, of course, the president gets in his escape pod and ejects. But then the gangs of New York, of course, come across him, and they take him prisoner. And then the military comes flying in, and they're like, yo, get the president. But to get out, and then Romero walks out, and he's got Terrell crazy. He's like, ha ha, guy's crazy laugh. And he's like, get back on the plane, or get back in the helicopter, and he's dead. So he kind of, scares me getting back on the helicopter and getting out there, and they get back to the base, and like, what the hell are we going to do? And just in time, of course, a new prisoner is being brought in. And it's the infamous Snake Plissken, former special forces turned outlaw. And they bring him in and say, look, we're going to give you a chance to have freedom. All you got to do is go and get the president. And first you got to get a tetanus shot, and they're going to give him these 2 injections in his neck. And just when he thinks everything's cool, then he's like, yo, we didn't tell you this, but in case you think about escaping, those are explosives we just put in your neck. And if you do anything and try to escape, they'll get the president, then we're going to blow your head up. You get 12 hours. So some of you got to get it done. Slap this big old timer on him, and a tracer, and give him his guns and send him in. And of course, Snake Plissken responds with, get back, I'm going to kill you. Just that simple and cool. So that's how the movie actually goes. A better description probably won't fit on the box. Guess, just go watch the movie first.
In the core box for Escape from New York, you will find one rule book, one game board, 4 hero boards, one New York board, prisoner meeples, cards for hero actions, New York actions, personal objectives, items, events, cars, briefcases, and the president. Tokens for roadblocks, cases, level bars, suburbs, helicopter, and gullfire. Tiles for the timer, city, Central Park, World Trade Center, library, and points of interest. Standees for heroes, bosses, taxi, cars, and their plastic bases. Cubes and markers for items, ammo, boss hit points, New York noise, New York missions, and the event level marker.
So up next, we always talk about aesthetics. Aesthetics for this game. I mean, this is based on a movie, so of course, you kind of want it to feel like that. You want the art, and you want the pictures and stuff to reflect that, the feel of it. And I gotta say, this does a really good job of that. All of the art on the cards is all photography from the movie, stills from the actual movie itself. So it looks really cool. The old movie posters and stuff, the art is used on here. The board itself looks really nice. I mean, it's basically got the layout that kind of feels like the way they looked at the map with the walls going around it in the movie. And the tiles are kind of divided up. On the backs of the tiles, you can see, the fronts of the tiles, actually, you can see the city streets. They kind of line up a little offset from each other, but all the streets intersect. So it looks cool for the sort of maze feel that it's supposed to have. Everything about it looks pretty good. The only thing I could say aesthetically about it is that, and this is probably a common thing in a lot of board games, but you have a nice smooth board and you have nice smooth cards. So during gameplay, and you're putting your tokens on the tiles themselves, they tend to turn a lot. You spend a lot of time trying to organize, and with so many characters that could be placed on one single tile, it's really easy for this to spin around and get a little bit messy looking when you're playing. It's not that bad. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And like I said, it just comes with 2 smooth surfaces mating, so that makes sense. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, aesthetics, really good. So the third category is ease of instructions. Well, I don't usually give out grades, but if I did, at best, this rule book would get a C-, maybe a D+. And it's not a failing grade because I'm pretty sure everything you need to know is in here. It's just the organization of it is terrible, and you're going to spend a lot of time when you're first getting adapted to it hunting, looking for answers. There is no glossary in this. So if you need to look something up, you just got to hunt for it. And it does have a disclaimer in the front about how the the rules are laid out in this book, but it's just weird. I mean, it's got your hero moves, and then it's got your New York City moves, prisoner moves. And then it's got another section of deeper dive into hero moves, and then another section of deeper dive into the New York moves. And then there's more explanations about, other ways that you can play the game, things that got added because of the success of the Kickstarter, which definitely adds to confusion because there's one section where you got to, you're looking through your cards, you're supposed to set aside your special action cards, and you got 5 of them, and the instructions tell you to take your 3 action cards and special action cards and set them aside. And it's not till later on in the book where I guess they just didn't feel like editing the original rules that they just decided to add in. By the way, we gave you more stuff, which is nice, but it just adds to confusion to when you're getting set up. There's also a lot of confusion in some of the prisoner movement. In fact, my buddy Brian actually mentioned that to me, that he thought it was really a little bit confusing. He knows games much better than I do, so if he was confused, imagine how I am. There's other things, little things like, for example, there's this token in here. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure this is a raft token. I say pretty sure because this picture is nowhere in the book. I looked through the whole damn thing. There is a section about a raft, and I think, pretty sure that's what that is. I mean, I don't know what else it could be, so I'm pretty sure that's got to be the raft token. But again, why is it not in the book? So there's just little things like that that really, I mean, somebody should have looked this over better. Like I said, the first time you play it, I sat down to play it hoping that I could just kind of read along and play out actions as I was going. That didn't work. I ended up having to set the game aside and actually read the entire book so that I could go, oh, back here is where this thing is mentioned. That should have been way up here. So then the second time I played through, of course, it was just a lot of hunting for the information. By the time you've figured out where everything is in the book and understand the rules, the game's actually pretty simple. In fact, there's not even very much to it for as huge as this game is. It's actually fairly simple, but yeah, just getting down that base. So ease of instructions, not good. Okay, so next we'll get into the setup and the basic how to play. It's not going to cover every little thing. It's not a playthrough. I'm sure there's probably some of those out there, but the basics of how it works we'll cover up next.
Setup. Set the board in the center of the playing area. Shuffle the red POI tiles and place them randomly face down on the red squares on the board. Set the library and World Trade Center cards face up in their respective spots. Place the heliport token in the central park and randomly place the suburb tokens face down in the suburb spots on the board. Set case tokens in their place. Shuffle and place the case cards in the manner explained in the rulebook. Assemble the Tyner deck according to the rulebook. Place the President card in its position. Shuffle and place decks of tiles for the city and central park, as well as the decks of cards for items and events, and place them near the board. Also place the cubes for the items and ammo, car standees, prisoners, roadblock tokens, and plastic bases within reach. Next, set up the New York board, setting the orange cube in the lowest space on the noise level track. Set the 4 black cubes in the left mission box. Put the boss standees in their respective spots and place the red cubes in the highest spots for those bosses' hit points. Shuffle the New York action deck and set it to the left of the New York board. Now, set up the hero boards. Each player takes the character of their choice. Each player also takes the plastic bases of their choice to place on their character's standee. Next, each player takes their character's specific action cards and sets them to the right of the player board. They will also separate their special action cards and leave them close by. The standard character action cards are the player's starting hand. Now each player takes a set of 3 level bars with matching patterns on top and places them on their board in the appropriate spaces. Each player also gets 2 personal objective cards. Finally, place the standees for each character in the library tile to start the game. How to play. All players should flip over their level 1 bar to reveal the requirements to level up. Then decide who will be the first player. The first player picks 2 cards from his hand to play and sets the rest back. Aside from the description on the card, the symbols in the top left corner will indicate what type of action it is: attack, movement, or special. The player must complete the full action of one card, then move on to complete the second. Most attacks are primarily used to take out prisoners in your space, though some will extend the range to adjacent tiles. Most movement tiles will allow you to move one space, though some will allow you to move an additional space, and cars will move even one more. Additionally, most movement cards will allow you to reveal a city or park tile adjacent to you. You cannot move into a space which has not been revealed, with the exception of the red POI tiles, which can be entered and then revealed. Anytime a tile is revealed, it will indicate things that should be added to that space, such as prisoners, items, and roadblocks. Things like items, cars, and events are not triggered unless your character enters that specific tile. POI tiles may also cause bosses to enter the game, or may reveal a briefcase that you can obtain. Cases and items cannot be obtained unless all enemies in that space have been removed. Once you have completed the actions of your cards, the player adds up the total noise created by the 2 card actions and moves the orange die on the New York track. The 2 played cards are then discarded to the left of the player board. These cards also represent hit points. Next, any enemies still remaining in the player's space get to attack. Each point of damage received from the enemies result in discarding more action cards from the player's hand. At this point, if you have reached the requirements for leveling up, you may remove the top bar, revealing the bonus from doing so, and flip over the next level bar. If at the top of your next turn you find yourself having 1 or no cards left in your hand, you may regain all of your cards by revealing and then discarding a timer tile. After any player has finished their turn, New York gets a turn. First, discard the top New York action card and add 1 point to the noise track. Then, look at the noise requirement on the back of the next card. If there is enough noise to cover the cost, the cube is moved back to pay the cost, and the action on the other side must be resolved. If there is not enough noise to cover the cost, the card gets discarded and another noise point is added. The back of the card also reveals movement for adjacent enemies to move towards your space, as well as roadblocks that should be added. After New York's turn, the next player may go. This is the basics of how the game works. You use your turn to explore the city, fight off prisoners and bosses, and search for the president, his cassette tape, and a map of the bridge. You can win collectively by obtaining all 3 of those and revealing them while in a space adjacent to a bridge. You can also backstab the other players and go for a solo win if the president has been taken by any of the players. The top timer tile is red, you have leveled up to level 3, and you have completed both personal objectives. If the final New York wins timer tile is revealed, the players lose the game.
Alright, so there you go. That's the basics of how to play the game. Up next is price and availability. So you can get this core game on Amazon for about 60 bucks. So it stands to reason that you'll be able to find it in some game stores for, around the same price. So that makes, if you can find it on Amazon, that means availability is pretty decent. It's not going to find it, you're not going to see it in probably like Target or anything like that. But yeah, Amazon's easy to find. Online game stores, you're going to find it. I actually got mine at QuestCon at a convention I was at just recently. I bought some extras, so I paid a bit more for it. But yeah, roughly about 60 bucks for the straight up core box. Up next is expansions. Are there expansions? Well, yes, there are. I did get this stretch goal box, which came with plastic pieces for the roadblock barricades, and a few other plastic pieces actually, and then some extra cards. It came with, I'll show you this actually. It also came with this really cool piece came with this foldable cardboard piece that turns into this bridge, so that you can run one other scenario where you can, try to escape the bridge and bypass little tokens that it goes explosives. But yeah, I mean, it came with a few extra things, replacing some of the tokens. It also came with tray space for other miniatures. And I got that. That was, like I said, that was a stretch goal. So that's not going to be something you'll easily come across. However, I did manage to get miniatures, which you can see it came with, you can replace your wooden meeples with prisoners, but also your main characters. I got this on Amazon, and then there are others available on Amazon. There are the bosses on there as well that you can get, and I believe there's another one that is further expansion for the game. It also comes with miniatures for the police and the military that can be involved too. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, lots of stuff that you can get to add to this, and a lot of it is on Amazon, easy to get. Okay, so now for the part that I'm not really looking forward to, my final thoughts. My final thoughts on this game are, it's pretty much how it goes. I want to love it, of course. I mean, I love the franchise. I love Escape from New York. It's one of my all-time favorite classic films. I love the character, Snake Plissken, and I want this game to be awesome. But it's not awesome. It's not the worst, probably, but it's not a really amazing game. There's a lot to it. When you set it all out and get past the difficulty of learning it, you have a massive table hog that should give you all kinds of options and new things to discover. And somehow, when you're playing, this feels you're just doing the same thing over and over again. You're just adding more bad guys, moving other space. Obviously, you're trying to, find particular things like the president and things that are missing. But yeah, it feels boring after a while, which, that feeling sucks. And I think part of that is because you can be on a space where 10 prisoners, other bad guys, are coming in, kicking your ass with, baseball bats with spikes through them, knives, guns, pipe wrenches, whatever. And you're not going to die from it. It's kind of weird, but yeah, you actually discard your hands. And, the main basis of the game is flipping the timers. So when you run out of time, yeah, you lose the game. But if you take more damage than cards you can discard on your turn, the instructions tell you to just ignore the rest of the damage. So all you do is pull one timer card, get all your stuff back. And it's a bit anticlimactic. Just the idea that you can't really be killed, I don't know, maybe that kind of weakens the game a little bit for me. Now, I will say this, as learning the game, I was playing by myself, but I was playing two-handed, so I could try and run two characters. I ran Snake and Cabby, the iconic one. And the element that I was missing is the fact that when you're playing with somebody else, you have the option to backstab. I don't know that would make enough of a difference for me to suddenly think the game is awesome. I'm willing to try, but the sad thing about this game for me is that as a collector and as someone who loves the film, I'm never getting rid of this game. It's going to be in my collection forever, and yet I'm probably not going to play it much. It's going to be one of those games where once a year I'm going to break it out and go, maybe this game wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And then a half hour later, I'm going to be bored. So that's kind of what sucks about it. It also makes me nervous about the other game that I've had my eye on from Pendragon, and that is The Thing, based on another great film that I love, another Kurt Russell one, actually. I've heard good things about it, but it makes me kind of nervous to buy it because I've always wanted it and not sure if I really should or not. So I don't know. If you're a collector of Escape from New York, Snake Plissken, then yeah, this is probably worth it. If you're not, give it a shot, but I don't think I could, in good conscience, recommended as a really great game. Anyway, that's my thoughts, but I'd be curious to know your thoughts. If you've played this game, do you have it? And did you have a better experience? Was it better playing with other people? What did you think about the rules? I've seen several people complaining about the rules, and it's a common thing these days. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, I'm disappointed, but that's how it works sometimes. Anyway, let me know what you think, and until next time, get out there and roll some dice. Just not these ones. Later. Hey gamers, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. It's one of the things I know that I can count on with the gaming community at large. This is of course to the point where I gotta ask you to like it, hit that subscribe button, and maybe share this with a friend. If you are a game designer, or maybe starting your own gaming company, and you want to do a little bit of cross promotion, maybe you got a prototype that you want me to check out and talk about on the show, definitely let me know. And of course, for all questions, suggestions, and corrections, there's all kinds of ways to get a hold of me. Probably the easiest one is just comment below. You can also send me an email at jackofallgamestt@gmail.com. The T stands for tabletop. And if you'd like to take a look at my commissioned miniature paint jobs, or even some of the other stuff in my life like photography or tattooing, which is what I do for my day job, go check it out on Instagram at Art of Wallace. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.